this 38 team, they've been the biggest head scratcher for the most of the season because they came out of the box, won 2 of the first 4 races. They almost picked up where they left off when they won the championship. Just, they got that inconsistency right now, and just being 14 below the cut line, I honestly
All right,
believe
good
he's
afternoon,
going to
everyone.
have to
We're
win
going
one
to
of these
continue
races
here
if he wants
quickly
to be
with
part of
our
the party.
media
Again, let's
availabilities
remember, he has
before
been
we
in the
get started
championship
with
for the last 3 years.
the Truck Series race here in just a few minutes. We've now been joined by Bubba Wallace. Bubba, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you spending some time with us before the race this weekend. If you have a question for Bubba, go ahead and raise your hand. We're going to work to get as many questions, or a microphone to you to get as many questions as we can in the time that we have. And who would like to kick us off?
Perfect. Let's go.
Awesome.
Damn.
All right. We'll go to Holly and then Steven.
Hey, Bubba. Holly Kane with the
Hello.
NASCAR Wire Service. You like your chances here in these last 2 races? I mean, just maybe give us kind of a general overview of where you see things stand. You had a good run last week, and coming in here where you've won before.
Yeah, it's Talladega. You're not safe, you know. Anything can happen. I think for us, we just do what we did at Daytona in the first Talladega race, or the first Talladega race. Yeah, if we can do that, but finish the race where we were running, I think we'll be okay. But we got to survive. You know, we put a lot of scenarios in place, talking with our Toyota teammates of, you know, what to do and how to execute it all. And I'm like, look, guys, we don't survive. You know, there's 3 Toyotas that usually finish the race. There's only 6 of us, and so I was like, we gotta, let's get to the final 10 laps, and then we'll, you know, start to worry about this stuff. So, you know, I think you don't treat it any differently. You go out and do what you're, you know that you're capable of doing, and just try to execute the best that you can. That's all you can do.
All right. We'll go to Steven.
Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. Bubba, looking or projecting ahead to the Roval next week, the way you guys ran at Watkins Glen, how much of a morale boost and a mentality change does that give you and your team maybe heading into another road course race?
Yeah, Scott Dixon called me for tips on the upcoming season for next year. So it's crazy how roles reverse. Kidding. I mean, I said next year. Yeah, I know. Don't ruin my bubble, okay? Don't ruin my moment. Jesus Christ. I wish there was F1 this weekend. I don't even know what I was going to say now. You want to come up here and speak for me? Okay, all right. Yeah, it was. You cannot relate anything from the Glen. Obviously, 2 different racetracks, but I think just from being able to the things that I learned at the Glen, like approach wise on corners and kind of technique stuff, you can carry that over. And so I worked on a little bit of that this week in the sim, and picked up some speed and found some a decent rhythm, you know. So it's all virtual right now until you get there in real life next weekend. But looking forward to it. I know we've run well there the last couple times we've been on the Roval. So it's just all a matter of surviving and not trying too hard and not getting caught up in somebody else's mess.
And that Watkins Glen race ran pretty straightforward. There was only 1 caution, no stage breaks at all. Now we've got stage breaks again. So is that something that, how much does that change your strategy? Do you welcome that, or would you rather have it run as it was?
No, I was whooped after the Glen, no breaks. Yeah, I don't know. I think that'll be a fair question to ask after. I mean, yes, we've had them before, but I don't know. I think you talk to the teams, stage breaks you kind of know your plan. There's no strategy involved with stage breaks. So that's kind of the only thing that kind of ruins your fate's already kind of sealed on what you do. You pit this lap, pit again, finish the race. That's it.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
All right. We will go Claire, Kelly, and then Lee and Holly.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR. So I talked to Blaney about his speeding deal, and he was like, well, you have to get over that stuff. You can't linger with it. You can't let it hang on. And then I talked to you about the restart, and you were frustrated about it. You said you're still kicking yourself. But as I listened to both of the answers, I thought, Blaney's real chill about it, but you might use that to motivate yourself, right? Like that hard on the chip thing about the restart might do something for you internally and help you, as opposed to let's just forget it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I said by Saturday I'd be over it. I was until you brought it back up.
You're never over it.
It's true. I thought we gave up a layup win there. But no, I've definitely, I've talked to enough people and they're like, hey man, it's time to move on. And you're right. Part of me was moved on right after the race, but just replaying it in my head over and over and over again, it's hard to move on from that, right? Because you feel like you made the right move leading up to that point, and then it's kind of swept out from underneath you, and that's totally okay. That's life. And it was like, man, what can I do to be different? If it's a restart here at Talladega, if it's next week at the Roval, like I'm constantly replaying that. And so I think now it's more of replaying the scenario to learn from it instead of dwelling on like, man, we could have won, right? But I am focused on one lap today and then just surviving tomorrow. So that's all you can do.
And can you talk about Talladega? Well, it's been used for years to be like the media and the sanctioning body and all the promotional people at the tracks. They love to build up Talladega for the drivers. It's a blank show as far as you never know what's going to happen. And I think Denny Hamlin attested to that. How do you look at it then as a driver? How do you explain to fans that maybe never have been at this racetrack to feel it or sense it, or maybe they don't even watch that much and they only watch when they see the cars nose to tail and the big one? How would you explain to them what this is all about here?
Yeah, well, it's like Daytona and Talladega. The morning of the race, you wake up, and this is from a driver's perspective, right? Doesn't matter if you're in the position I am or you're in a car that doesn't really compete on any other racetrack. But I think every driver in the field wakes up for these 4 races and they're like, today could be our day. Today could be our day to win. And that's exciting as hell, right? Like I remember being in that spot where you only thought your fighting chance was these 4 races. And you go out there and try to make the most of it. I mean, you see a lot of these races the way they play out with a lot of crashes. The guys that usually are in the back, you have a crazy top 10 finish. Like it's a bunch of less competitive cars. I'm not trying to say this in a rude way, but we know some of the cars that have no fighting chance in hell. If we're at Texas or if we're at Kansas or Martinsville, they show up here because they survive. They don't want to crash their cars for obvious reasons, but avoiding the wreck and playing the race smart produces really good finishes. And we've always said if you're in the top 8 and it comes down to a green white checkered, it's a recipe for a great day. And so I always have woken up on race day excited as hell for just the opportunity to go out and compete, because one of, what do we got, 36 of us this weekend? One of us is going to win. Obviously, that's every weekend, but the field is so tight, and it doesn't really matter if you play your race smart and don't have any damage, and your cars just have to be decent, can keep up in the pack, you have a shot at winning. That's cool.
All right, Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Bubba, as you have gone through this season, in the regular season, it was try to win a race, try to qualify for the playoffs. You get in the playoffs, still searching for that win, but now that you're in the playoffs, has your expectations or goals changed as you guys have gone race to race? This may sound funny, but have you found yourself wanting it maybe any more than you thought you would to keep going race by race, round by round?
I mean, obviously a win would be great. I would love to just continue to advance just by winning. Not pointing our way in, but advancing is advancing, no matter how you do it, right? So honestly, I don't think the mindset changes. We just have to do everything that we can. I thought last weekend was all around one of our cleanest and greenest races from the 23s team, from the 23 perspective. And I thought Booty to the pit crew to me, we all just kind of executed in the way we should have. And it's like, okay, if that's what it's like, leading 111 laps and finishing third, and you do that every week, it's hard to do for sure. But, that's what we're capable of. And when you're in the top three like that, they say your win is bound to come. Okay. But I do believe that. And so we just got to keep putting our name in the hat and keep doing what we know we're capable of doing.
When you came into the playoffs, like I said, you get to the round of 16. Then it was, all right, let's try to get to the round of 12. I mean, realistically, though, what were you thinking as far as the ceiling for this team the first year in the playoffs?
So I went to lunch with Dave Rogers yesterday, and I said about midway through the season, we were probably 8th, 12th place car, right? And we're sitting 9th in the points right now. We're right on the cusp of that. And I think having an understanding that usually when the playoffs start, there's going to be at least 2 or 3 playoff cars that take care of themselves, right? Whether that's failures, crashes, penalties, whatever it may be. Try not to be one of those. You go out and make sure you have a good day, you execute solid, pit crew has a good day, execute solid, crew chief, strategist, they execute solid. If that recipe is a 20th place, okay, you missed it. But when you put yourself in a hole, it's tough. That's where the mistakes happen. So I think it's very capable. We're very capable of getting to the round of 8. I look at the third round, really, really good racetracks. Going off what I watched last year at Homestead, car looked really, really fast. So I'm excited to get there. Obviously Vegas and then Martinsville, right? So I think if we can just fight our asses off these next 2 weeks, then it'll be interesting to see what the 23 can do for the remainder of the playoffs.
And one last thing real quick. The performance you had at Texas, you just said a minute ago, this team is capable of that. But there was times this year where you were saying that Booty has almost had to preach to you, we're a really good team, and you've had to believe it. So when you have runs like Texas, do you buy more into that of this is not a surprise, this is what we should be doing, we are capable of? Do you believe more that you guys are that top 5, top 10 team?
No, I mean I've believed that this whole time. It's just a matter of, is everyone on their A game today? I guess if you divide it up into 3 pieces of the pie, driver, crew chief, pit crew, I feel like a lot of the times we were showing up with 2 out of the 3 slices. We never had all 3, right? And so we've started to do that more and more, and look at what we're doing. And it's not from us trying harder or whatever. It's just show up and bring your A game, and we'll take what we can get. And I think understanding that and appreciating that is 2 different things. It goes a long way. It helps the team morale, and you fight as one team. It sounds very bland, but you fight as one team, and you show up to the racetrack and you're just ready to battle for whatever circumstances come your way. And that's what makes us so good is we feel like we can overcome anything as long as we don't take ourselves out. So the races can get long, super long, and you can dial yourself right out. But when you have the right people in the right place to help you out, it makes that transition a little easy.
All right, we're going to go Lee, Holly, Shane, and wrap with Gwen. Okay, go ahead, Lee.
Lee Spencer, catchfence.com. Just curious, did you have to get to like the Roval? Because when you look at your progression there from a 30-something finish to 7th the last time, every start of yours you have become incrementally better. And I'm just wondering if it was a process over time that got you to where you were last fall, or did you have to really learn to like the track?
Well, yeah, I mean, hell, I created the racetrack. I moved the damn wall. Eric was, 2 laps later than me? Yeah. I was not a fan of it. It's a really, really tough racetrack, right? I think the only people that like it are the ones that win. And it's just no room for error, right? These cars are so on edge. You have to drive them on edge, and more so in the next gen car, you're pushing this thing to the absolute limits. And with that, you kind of get a little bent out of shape, and you can gather it. And Roval, I think the only room for error is one of the hardest corners is 3 and 4. And it's off camera. It's a right-handed corner, and you're kind of chasing it. You've seen a lot of guys spin out into the barriers over there, but that's the most room that you have. Everything else, you're hitting the wall and you're done. So it's tight, and you got to be super finesse. And so I think understanding that and slowing it down more mentally and trying to process things a little bit different has helped me with that. And then just the prep work that we do. Has helped a tremendous amount. So being on the sim, talking with teammates, and figuring out, where to gain speed, where to maintain, and where just to, try to have fun. But it's chaotic. It definitely is. It lives up to the name of just being dramatic, right? I know Marcus is probably listening to this, so if I praise it up anymore, then he's going to add it on to the schedule for probably the next 10 years. Do not want that. But, yeah, it's chaotic.
All right, we will go to Holly and then Shane. Go ahead, Holly.
Bubba, just kind of following up with this, but can you talk about the level of confidence that it seems like you have now? I mean, this is your first playoffs. You've advanced to the second round. You are in good shape, I would say, in terms of the points right now. You just had it. But for you personally, what does this do to the level of confidence now that you're taking into this?
Yeah. Back to my conversation with Dave yesterday. He sat down. He's like, "How's it feel?" And I just came from the golf course with Blaney, and I was like, "What? Getting my ass kicked on the golf course, or what?" He's like, "No, being in the round of 12." And I'm like, "Meh." And no, don't take that as I don't care to be here. It's just another race. We're just so happy to be in the next round, and I think it's super cool. But I also think we should have been here last year. We were capable of doing this last year. We have the right people. We just can never put it all together. So it's been a lot of work to get to this point for sure. And it's super cool to see the results pay off for everybody on this team. And I could see my guys fired up about showing up to the racetrack, and we still got our name in the hat, and we're progressing forward. We were the last seed to start the playoffs. We're the last seed for this round, and we advanced, and we're 2 points out of advancing right now. So it's cool for them, right? I'm pumped to see them work extra hard to make sure that we're doing everything right, and that's what motivates me, right? But for me, Talladega's Talladega. We know how crazy it can get. Roval's Roval. We know how crazy it can get. So you just got to take it one lap at a time and just understand what I said earlier. People are going to take themselves out. Don't be one of those people.
All right, Shane, and then we'll end with Gwen. Go ahead, Shane.
Hey, Bubba, I'm Shane Connick, Charlotte Observer. Kyle Busch was just in here talking about his new deal with Spire and talking about how he looks to continue to stay involved with that and touted the impact that he knows he had on a lot of younger drivers coming through the ranks. What did he mean to you? Obviously racing for Kyle Busch Motorsports, and what kind of role did he and that team play in your development as a driver?
Yeah, some dog got paid. Good for him. Selling the house, selling the team.
Sam still has her shop.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, there we go again. Lost my train of thought. Thanks, Jim. No, Kyle's obviously a heck of a racer. Gave me an opportunity when I was a part of the JGR camp 2013 and 14. And it was tough, racing against him. He was the one to beat. And I remember 2013 just racing every weekend, and doesn't matter where we were at, he was fast, and you were just trying to replicate that. And he would almost talk to you like, "Hey man, it's easy, just do this," and you're like, "What? I'm trying to figure it out." Well, I think it clicked about halfway through 2014, where the 54 started being talked about almost as much as Kyle, right? And I think once you figured it out, it was fun to show up to the racetrack and know that you were going to run top 3, right? Top 2 is going to be the 51, 54. And, I appreciate that and just learning. I remember after Martinsville, 2013, it was in the off season, and he sat me down and he was like, "Hey man, if you didn't win Martinsville, you were out. Simple as that." And I was like, "Well, we won, so let's do it again." And I think just we obviously know how Kyle is, but you can take and appreciate some of that of just trying to push to be the absolute best. And it may come off as being a jerk or being an asshole sometimes, but I understand what he's trying to go for. At the end of the day, he's helping a lot of people, but he's racing for himself and wants to be the absolute best. And so if you can learn from that, if you can get past the harshness of that and try to take some of those traits, I think that helps you along the way. And that's what I've done, right? I try not to be as sarcastic, but just from the racing standpoint and just going out and absolutely being a dog, Kyle taught you a lot about that, so it's pretty cool.
All right, and we'll take one final question from Gwen. Go ahead, Gwen.
Thank you. Hi, Bubba.
Where you at?
Gwen Daru.
Oh, hello.
For
How are you?
Times. Good. In your downtime coming up through the holidays, is there anything that you can share with us that you plan to do to look forward to 2024, like meditate, relax, take a little vacation trip or something?
That sounds so nice. We were talking about it this morning, Blaney and myself and his girlfriend Gianna. We were talking. Amanda and I were talking about going to Australia, New Zealand for 2 weeks, and my wife is a massive planner, right? Previous trips, if we're doing something in December, we usually book something like the March leading up. It is September 30th, and we have nothing booked. And so I don't know if that's going to happen, but I know if we continue to wait, the plane tickets are going to be astronomical, which may just be more motivation to get to the next round, to accept that bonus, to pay for those tickets. But thinking about and trying to get through trying to get all the irons worked out, but trying to run snowball derby for the first time this year. So that's not relaxing at all. But that's a little bit more work. Looking forward to that if it can all work out. I think other than that, it's just chilling at home. We are in the midst of building a house. We broke ground 2 months ago around that, and I have no idea what the house is going to look like or whatnot. That's all Amanda, which is totally fine. But that'll be next off season when we move into that. And so we'll be dealing with that in the off season. But really, I've been able to just get away throughout the weeks, even during the playoffs now, of just playing video games, staying at home. So that's what I plan on doing, whether it's in Australia or not.
All right, Bubba, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Thanks.